This is the MHS Pawdcast, the online radio voice of Metuchen High School.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Metuchen High School Podcast, the online radio voice of MHS. I'm Kalegi. Today we'll first talk to spring play director Ms Krumholtz to preview the upcoming MHS Footlighters production of Legally Blonde. Then we'll be doing a spotlight of the new Filmmaking Club. But prior to that, here are the announcements from Sarah Terracina.
Thank you, Eddie. There is SAT 1 testing this Saturday at MHS. Those taking the test must arrive no later than 7:45 a.m. College Financial Aid Planning Night will be taking place on Thursday, March 19th, beginning at 7 p.m. in the auditorium. All parents and students are welcome. Friday, April 3rd is the final day of the third marking period. And lastly, ACT 1 testing at MHS will be on Saturday, April 4th at 8 a.m. That's all for announcements. Back to you, Eddie.
Thank you, Sarah. And now we'll move on to something that I'd be remiss if we didn't mention, and that is the threat of the pandemic, the coronavirus. So, at the time that I'm recording this, which is Thursday afternoon, March 12th, around 4 o'clock, there's now 29 cases in New Jersey, 2 of which in Middlesex County, 1 in Edison, the other in East Brunswick. Of course, this virus has gone worldwide, and it's existing in America pretty prevalently. We've seen some cancellations. The Broadway shut down today. The NBA, the first sports league to suspend its operations. Baseball, Major League Soccer, NHL following suit. Other sports like NASCAR and golf going to proceed for now, but without fans in attendance. So obviously there is something to be concerned about. And obviously, the whole school situation at this point, we don't really know. It was important. This is being recorded on Thursday after school, so hopefully you took home all your necessary belongings, as Mr. Paragallo, principal, made a pretty strong announcement this morning regarding the entire situation, explaining the importance of continuing with your education and treating like it's school if distance learning has to be put into order over the next couple of weeks. So there's definitely concern, but you also have to try to control your panic. Hysteria does not help the situation. I understand, I'm fearful myself. You know, it's a disease. It's spread very quickly around the world. It's gotten from China to Italy to America, and there have been deaths, and the mortality rate is rather substantial. So there's concern, but it's important just to focus and make sure you maintain proper hygiene. Washing your hands, using hand sanitizer. If you're sick, stay home. If you have to sneeze, you have to cough, cover your mouth, cover your nose. Try not to touch your face, your nose. Try not to touch anything that could have been touched by someone who was sick. And if you see someone who is sick, try to stay away from them. Obviously, at this point, it's very frustrating that some of these moves have had to be made, and that in some ways, it seems like life has had to stop. And I mean, for us living in the United States of America, where we've seen things happen around the globe that have been unfortunate, but we almost feel like there's this sense of immunity in America, that because we see ourselves as such a strong nation, such a diverse nation, such an economically and culturally, maybe in some ways superior nation, that we think that these issues will spare us. But in a time like this, it shows that even the United States is being affected by the coronavirus. So it really puts things in perspective, but that also allows you to think. I know there are people who are probably very frustrated by the situation. The threat of maybe spring sports, other events being postponed, canceled, and whatnot. But Mr. Slavis, who's a history teacher here at Metuchen High School, really said something that I felt was particularly impactful yesterday. That you have to put things into perspective. That yes, there is some misfortune, even if you don't get sick. That yes, it'll be frustrating. It'll suck if things have to get canceled that you really feel like didn't need to be canceled. But just think about it. everybody else in the country is going through this too. It's not just you. Everybody else's lives are on hold as we deal with this pandemic. And when you think about it, wouldn't you want to be cautious? Maybe take a little bit of overprotection, but if it's going to help protect hundreds or thousands of lives, I think it's definitely worth it. So at this point, just try to stay hygienic. We don't have any news about the school at this point. The borough has closed some actions and postponed some things. Notably, they closed the Senior Citizen Center earlier this afternoon. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy also made an announcement that he is banning public gatherings of more than 250 people, following suit of other states like Washington, Ohio, and California that have faced similar outbreaks of the COVID-19. So, just gotta hope for the best, but that's basically where we're sitting at here on Thursday, March 12th. So at this point, let's move on to our interview with Ms Krumholtz to promote the upcoming spring musical. As you can hear in the background, we're here live as they're getting ready for the spring musical just 2 weeks away. It's that time of year again. We're excited to be joined by Metuchen High School and Edgar chorus teacher and director of this year's spring play, Ms Krumholtz. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So when did you first develop an interest in musical theater?
Probably from the time I was a little kid, when I went to go see my first Broadway show.
So when did the opportunity first present itself to direct plays here at MHS?
Well, I was a student at Metuchen High School, and I was actually a footlighter, and so I was the rehearsal pianist when I was in high school, and so I fell in love with doing a lot of the directing of how the musical scenes would actually happen when I was in high school. I had a teacher named Mrs. Ryan, who was in charge of the shows, and Mrs. Schlein, and they both encouraged me to be that pianist and to sort of be the assistant musical director. And so when I did that, I really fell in love with shaping the way a show went. So I guess two teachers sort of inspired that whole experience, and then that's sort of why I went into what I do. That's why I went into directing choirs and vocals all around. It's just a very inspiring thing.
So this year's musical is Legally Blonde. Could you tell us a little about how you guys decided to do it, and just a little about the backstory of Legally Blonde?
Well, we chose this because we had the right kids for this show. The students that we have amazing dancers, we have amazing student choreographers, we have an Elle Woods, we have you need a powerhouse voice, and we've got a really strong ensemble of kids. We knew our ages, our talents, and we were looking for a good, strong ensemble group, and this sort of lent itself to us. We liked a little bit more modern of a story. We thought it would be fun to do something a little bit newer. This story was a movie, and it started out, Elle Woods is a UCLA student. She's graduating. She's going to be she's leaving her sorority house, and she's hoping to get engaged to her boyfriend, and her boyfriend turns her down because she's not serious. He wants somebody who's serious. He's going off to law school at Harvard Law, and she's not going to be left behind. She would really like to get married to him, and so she studies and studies and studies and gets into Harvard, and needless to say, you have to come to the rest of the show to find out what exactly is what happens. But she does. She changes her whole life, and I've talked about a lot with the show, the kids just opening new doors, constantly opening new doors, and which is why I sort of felt it works really well for our cast. Just to always be looking for a new, hopeful tomorrow, and maybe a change, and maybe it's perfect for us. And as we're leaving high school and going into what's next. So it was just a neat, inspiring story.
Definitely a fun story, definitely a lot of hard work going on. So when is the showings of the play, and how can tickets be purchased? Tentatively.
Right now, the show is March 26th, 27th, and 28th at 7 p.m. at the Metuchen High School stage. The tickets can be purchased online at MHSFootlighters.com. We'll do a student rush ticket like we've been doing the past couple of years for students at Metuchen High School in the cafeteria. But you can buy them online beforehand for $12, and you can also buy at the door for $15.
Well, definitely exciting. Best of luck with the play.
Thank you so much.
All right, so when we come back, we'll be joined by Tang and Farrah Grubman from the all-new Filmmaking Club. I'm Kalegi. This is the Metuchen High School Podcast, the online radio voice of MHS. Having trouble seeing the board in class? Do you need safety glasses for your school sport? If you answered yes to either of these questions, head over to Optique Unique, the eyeglass store at 406 Main Street in Metuchen. Optique Unique does it all. Not only do they offer eyewear for all ages, they also sell sports-specific safety glasses for kids and adults. Call them at 732-321-2020. That's 732-321-2020, or visit OptiqueUnique.com. Do you want to build character, build confidence, or even build yourself? All that and more can be accomplished at the Black Belt Institute at 23 New Street, right here in Metuchen. Students of all ages have been able to learn respect, discipline, fitness, and self-defense from their experienced instructors for over 20 years. Whether you're an adult looking for stress reduction or know someone young who has interest in Taekwondo, the Black Belt Institute is the place to go. The Institute takes a fun approach at teaching the rules of self-defense, instilling in their students an I-can-do-it attitude. Interested in taking a class? Call them at 732-205-9797 or visit their website at blackbeltinst.com. Once again, that's 732-205-9797 or blackbeltinst.com. The Black Belt Institute, Metuchen's leader in martial arts and fitness. The MHS Pawdcast is also sponsored by Allstate Insurance at 63 Pearl Street in Metuchen. Allstate, are you in good hands? Welcome back to the Metuchen High School Podcast, the online radio voice of MHS. I'm Kalegi. We have yet another new club launching here at MHS. It's the Filmmaking Club. To spotlight it, I'm here with Metuchen High sophomores and club presidents Ms Tang and Farrah Grubman. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
So how did you each personally first develop an interest in filmmaking?
Well, when I was younger in elementary school, I was always into video making, and I guess going into middle school, I wanted to take that to another level. So I signed up for the arts middle school program, and from then on, I just continued making films, and I fell in love with it.
I've been into acting since I was little, and when she started filmmaking more, I started acting in her films, and from there I got interested in the actual process of making them.
So what was your inspiration to start the Filmmaking Club?
Well, when I first started making films, I tried to control everything, essentially. But as time went on, I realized that you need more people to make a film, and it's better to have a group of people bouncing ideas off of each other than just one person. And since film isn't generally taught in schools, I wanted to make a program or a club that had a focus on filmmaking and that kids could bounce ideas off of each other to make films.
So, the club just starting out now, what will happen at an ordinary meeting, and why should people join the club?
Well, it depends on the meeting, but for the most part, we're going to be making short films, and they're going to be involved in every part of the process, coming up with ideas and writing them, and then being able to act in them and just create them.
You mentioned how both of you have been working in filmmaking and acting and stuff for the past few years. Do you need experience in the field to be part of the club?
No.
Oh, yeah, you don't need experience. We're pretty much covering everything in the filmmaking process right now. As we go on, we'll just continue teaching, and it's something you learn by doing. Most of our members don't have experience.
So when and where do the meetings take place?
The meetings take place after school on Fridays for the months of March and April and for May, we aren't sure about the schedule yet, but it's after school in room 123. You can follow us on Instagram at Metuchen High School Filmmaking Club if you want more information on the meetings.
All right, well, Michelle, Farrah, best of luck with the club, and thank you for joining us.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
That's about all the time we have today. For Sarah Terracina and our guests, Ms Krum and Michelle and Farrah, I'm Kalegi. This is the Metuchen High School Podcast, the online radio voice of MHS.